Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
Optimism of a Fed rate cut. We are seeing across the board a sense of calm after a pretty volatile 2 weeks. We do see a sense that even in bond markets, there is a bid with yields down just about 2 basis points, 4.05%. Meanwhile, crude prices lower yet again after declining almost 4% last week. Crude traded on the NYMEX down now just 0.3%. And this comes as trade talks between the U.S. and the European Union are underway in Europe. The EU sharing it doesn't expect a deal to lower tariffs on steel and other products. Joining us now from Brussels is U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Secretary Lutnick, thank you so much for being with us. I want to start on your discussions with the European Union. We were hearing some noise that it doesn't necessarily include reducing steel and aluminum tariffs from 50% to 15%. Is that off the table for now?
No, what we're talking about, everything is on the table when you have such a great partner as the European Union. They have 450 million people and a $20 trillion economy. So the opportunity is great. They would like to have steel and aluminum as part of this package. And we think it is very, very important that they understand our digital companies and they reconsider their digital regulations to be more inviting to our big companies. They tend to tax our big companies and attack our big companies, and they're not getting the investment that we're getting, right? You're seeing trillions of dollars of our tech companies investing in building data centers in America, and they're not getting them here. So we're talking to them about take your foot off the regulatory statement, build those data centers in America, and in exchange for that, we'll come up with a cool steel and aluminum deal that will all be together. So it's all trading. These are trade deals. You're talking about opportunities together. Let's bring it all on the table. Let's see what we can accomplish.
Secretary Lutnick, what's the threshold in terms of reducing certain regulations in Europe on U.S. tech companies that's required in order to create some sort of framework for this deal?
Well, what the European Union does is they say, well, our digital rules, they only touch companies above a certain threshold. Of course, the only companies above those thresholds are all American companies. So come on, that can't be the rule. Let's take it off. Let's settle the outstanding cases against Google and against Microsoft and against Amazon. Let's put them behind us. Let's come up with a reasonable framework where these companies can grow and build, and then those companies will agree to invest hundreds of billions of dollars of data centers here. So the idea is if they take their foot off this regulatory framework and make it more inviting for our companies, they can get the benefit of hundreds of billions, possibly $1 trillion of investment here. So the idea is I'm trying to convince them that winning the way Donald Trump is winning in America is the way to go. Look at America. Look at these growth rates. Come on. Do you realize our investment in AI CapEx last quarter exceeded consumer spending in America? We had 3.8% GDP growth. We're going to grow over 4%. And next year, we could grow over 5%. You got to embrace what's coming. The AI world is coming. Come on, embrace it. That's what we're here doing, trying to bring and make our deal with Europe, which was a great deal done by Donald Trump. Let's make that deal better.
Secretary Lutnick, just on that point, and point taken on what you see as the benefit to embracing that tech, but the EU over and over again has insisted that its digital laws are not up for discussion. Are you seeing any sort of relenting from them as you've been pushing it? Does it seem like they would agree to you on this point?
Well, you know, I see a lot of ministers. Remember, there's 27 countries, so some are more open-minded than others. But, you know, it's a process, which is talking to them and telling them that if they want to get that kind of investment here, they've got to change the model. So there's the carrot and the stick. You know, if you keep taxing these companies, they're not going to give you the investment. So that's my job, to sort of talk about it, help those American companies find their way clear to invest here and to grow here. And another example for them, I show them that they're ruling out clean diesel for batteries. And I try to remind them, you don't make batteries in Europe. Come on, guys. Don't make rules that harm yourself. You don't make batteries. That's not a good idea. Stick with clean diesel. Stick with combustion engines. Come on. Be clever about yourselves. And just common sense. This is the common sense Trump administration here in Europe trying to remind them that they have an amazing economy that can grow and build, will help them grow and build with great trade with America. But you can't be silly and sort of embrace just batteries, which you don't make in Europe. So these are the kind of conversations I have. They're pretty fun, if you ask me, because I get to point to the growth in America and say, come on, follow our lead, and we will have a bigger, better, stronger trade deal. We'll add to it. We'll add excitement to it. But you've got to come along with us.
Secretary, in terms of
the model
that big growth we've been seeing, because the AI has been contributing a lot to this American economy, and as a lot has been said about the two-speed nature of it, that on one hand, AI is doing well, and on the other hand, you have consumers that are still feeling high prices. You saw that play out through the most recent elections. There's been a renewed concentration from this Trump administration to try to reduce tariffs, especially on things like food goods. Are you and the rest of this administration, as you negotiate tariffs, specifically looking at that, trying to find tariffs to bring down to lower the cost of everyday household items for American consumers?
Exactly. The Trump administration is exactly about affordability. We are going through every line item to try to make sure we can drive affordability across the American consumer landscape. Two things, though. American earnings are growing, right? The average earnings of America, their income is growing. So as that grows and we drive prices down, you're going to feel that golden age coming. So it's the combination of earnings growing and we are razor focused on bringing down prices. That's one of the things we're doing here today, working together to try to bring down prices on average daily products. We are working on it. The Trump administration is on it. We have a clear direction from the president. We are going to lower prices
Secretary
and make
Lutnick,
things more affordable.
just to build on what Danny's
we're also going to raise income, raising income as well.
Just to build on what Danny's talking about, though, there is a feeling that there is a limit to how much tariffs can go up or how much the Trump administration may have to reduce tariffs going forward in order to address some concerns about cost of living. Has that affected your negotiations at all?
No, I think it's pretty easy. The world understands that there's give and take in these trade deals, and the benefits are clear that the Trump administration has created the greatest set of trade deals. You know, the president has talked about a $2,000 tariff dividend coming back to the American people. He got the one big beautiful bill, which is going to cut, and there's going to be significant income growth from people next year as that bill comes into play. And we are going to focus on the affordability. You saw coffee and cocoa and bananas and all those kind of things. Those prices came down. You're going to see prices continuously come down, energy prices down. Yeah. You're going to see affordability across the board here. Trump administration is going to win in affordability and income. Two sides of the coin, we're going to win.
Secretary Lutnick, there's been a huge focus, and you've been talking about how U.S. tech has definitely been the bastion of the economic growth over the past couple of years. Has the Trump administration decided whether or not to allow Nvidia to sell the H200 chips into China? That's been a discussion and something that increasingly people are speculating about.
Well, I've seen that speculation. That kind of decision sits right on the desk of Donald Trump, right? He's got Jensen from Nvidia who really wants to sell those chips, and he's got a good reasons for it. There's an enormous number of other people who think that that's something that should be deeply considered. And the benefit that we have is we have Donald Trump in the Oval Office. He is going to weigh those decisions. He understands President Xi the best. He will decide whether we go forward with that or not. That's on his desk with lots of different advisors. The president loves to hear lots of different voices to make those kind of decisions, and he'll decide whether we sell those chips or not, and then we will go execute it however he decides to go forward.
There's a bigger question here, Secretary Lutnick, about what national security is. Is it more of a national security risk to give China some of these high-powered chips, or is it more of a national security risk to not have U.S. tech in China? Has your view on that changed?
Well, that's the question, exactly as well put and in front of the president, which is, do you want to sell China some chips and keep them using our tech and our tech stack? Or do you say to them, look, we're not going to sell you our best chips. We're just going to hold off on that, and we're going to compete in the AI race ourselves. So that is the question. It's in front of the president. He's going to decide. It's a really, really interesting question. He's got all the information. He's got lots and lots of experts talking to him, and he's going to decide which way he wants to go forward.
Secretary Lutnick, meanwhile, use of IEEPA for tariffs is in front of the Supreme Court. The feedback has been skepticism so far from many of the justices, conservative ones included. As this plays out, can you walk us through how you'd prioritize the different alternatives should the administration's use of tariffs via IEEPA get struck down?
So I was in the Supreme Court. I sat through the whole argument. The justices were tough on the beginning on the Department of Justice's, our person. But then they were much tougher on the other side, much, much tougher. So I left that day feeling very confident that we and the president was going to prevail on these IEEPA tariffs. So I think, you're hearing it from me, I think I was there in the courtroom. I heard it all the way through. I didn't sort of write my story halfway through. I sat all the way through to the end. The president's going to win that case because that makes sense for him to win. But I want to remind you, the president has lots of other authorities. He has 232s. He has 301s. He has 338s. He has a whole variety, 112, 122. He's got all sorts of other powers. And tariffs are going to be part of this administration going forward, but I don't think they're going to be necessary because the president's going to win the IEEPA case in front of the Supreme Court.
Secretary Lutnick, theoretically, if the U.S. did lose that court in front of the Supreme Court in terms of IEEPA as justification, how quickly could you roll out that package of additional measures, whether it's Section 301 or Section 232?
I think many of them could come very, very quickly. I don't think most of the big deals, I don't think are in jeopardy. I think the people who did those deals, they don't want their tariffs to go up. They want their auto tariffs. That's durable. That was in a 9-0 at the Supreme Court. You have auto tariffs. You have semiconductors. You have pharmaceuticals. You have steel and aluminum. You have lumber. All of those are durable tariffs. They're not going anywhere. I think our big trade deals are here to stay the way they are now, right? And the others, I think we're going to win the case, but I think it would be relatively straightforward for the president to replace it with other means. But it's not going to be necessary because the president has used IEEPA correctly, and he's going to win that case.
Secretary Lutnick, we know you've got a really busy morning, but before we let you go, has the Supreme Court case influenced any of your discussions at all with trade partners in terms of what the potential limits are to your ability to negotiate or potentially keep some of the ongoing negotiations that have been already struck?
So that's exactly the point. I'm here in Europe. It hasn't come up at all. The fact is, we made a great deal with Europe. They think it's important to them. It's important to us. Right? It includes semiconductors. It includes pharmaceuticals. It includes autos. These are things that are important to the European Union, and they're important. The whole trade deal is important to America. I think this deal stands. I think the question that we are negotiating is how to make the deal bigger, how to make it stronger, how to make it more inclusive, how to bring in these digital, Markets Act and try to improve that for digital America, how to maybe do steel and aluminum and how to include that, how to do things bigger and better together between our two great economies. I think they're going to do it standards, make sure they take U.S. autos here, and make sure we are working together to extend both the European Union standards and American standards throughout the world. I don't feel that the IEEPA case is here at all. I think the opportunity is for us to grow and do business together. People want to have their trade deals with America, and I think these deals are durable.
U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, thank you so much for your time, and good luck over there in Europe.